sentence from Jimin makes Jungkook silent. What does it mean? In a quiet, tense atmosphere in one of the small rooms of the military headquarters, only the sound of shoe steps and the rustle of uniform fabrics is heard. Jimin stood in front of Jungkook, his eyes sharp but full of burden. Time seemed to stop as he uttered one short sentence, no high notes, no tears, but enough to make Jungkook speechless and almost lose his words. If you really care, why did you stop looking for me? It was a simple sentence, but it hit Jungkook right in the chest. I didn't think Jim would say that. He thinks that silence and giving space is a form of attention. He thinks moving away is a way to honor wounds that are never explained. But that night, Jimin finally opened part of the wall he had built so far. The sentence is not an accusation. It is a cry from a lost heart, which all this time secretly hoped to be rediscovered. Jungkook did not respond immediately. He just lowered his head, his jaw hardened, hands clenched at the sides of the body. Behind the usually calm glare of his eyes, there appeared a ripple of emotions that he had endured for months. Jimin's sentence is not just about their relationship as best friends or as group mates. It was a statement from someone who once felt like home, then slowly felt abandoned, albeit for no apparent reason. I end that silence. All the feelings they had been harboring exploded just like that. Jungkook knew that if he answered carelessly, everything could be ruined. But also know, if he stays silent for too long, he will completely lose it. Its meaning is deep and layered, a request for honesty, recognition, and presence. Not in the form of sweet words or public statements, but in the form of concrete actions come when the world moves away and stay when feelings are no longer easy to explain, and in that small room. One sentence from Jimin finally opened the door to a conversation that had been delayed. Jungkook finally lifted his face and answered, slowly but surely, "Because I'm afraid. If I come, you don't want me to be there anymore." After that, silence again enveloped them, but this time it was not because of their distance from each other, but because their hearts finally spoke honestly again. After Jungkook said that phrase, "Because I'm afraid. If I come, you don't want me to be there anymore," the room felt narrower. Not because the distance has shrunk, but because all the wounds they once harbored now hang between them, real and suffocating. Jimin closed his eyes for a moment, holding back the emotion that burst into his throat. His hands trembled under his military uniform, not because of anger, but because too many feelings were suppressed. "Do you think I didn't wait?" Jimin finally said, slowly but clearly. "Every time I pass by the dining room, every time I hear footsteps from afar, I wish it was you. But you never came." Jungkook closed his lips, holding his breath. He didn't have a strong enough answer to answer that. All this time, he thought Jimin needed space. But it turns out, what Jimin needs is presence, even in the slightest form. "I don't know who to come as," Jungkook said finally, softly. "As a friend? As your sister? As someone you've cared for with all your heart? I'm afraid. I don't have a place anymore." That made Jim cringe. They were silent for a long time, and time seemed to be running slowly. Outdoors, military life went on as usual with signals, training shouts, and the sound of galloping boots. But inside that small space, two hearts are trying to repair the bridge that once collapsed. Jimin finally stepped closer. He stopped right in front of Jungkook and looked him seriously in the eye. "You always have a place to be, Jungkook. Even when I'm angry, disappointed, even when I want to stay away, part of me always wished you were still here." And for the first time in a long time, Jungkook felt his heart crack, not because of the injury, but because of the hope that slowly rekindled. He grabbed Jimin's hand, slowly, cautiously, as if afraid that it would disappear if touched too quickly. Jimin did not refuse. They stood there, just the two of them, clasping each other wordlessly, trying to fill the gap in time that had separated them. Outside, the night begins to fall. The sky of the headquarters was shrouded in a gloomy twilight. But inside the room, two hearts that had been hurt now began to warm each other again. No promises, no oaths of allegiance. There's only one word that stands out. If you really care, why did you stop looking for me? And the answer is not only in words. The answer is now standing before him, trying to come back, albeit late, but never completely gone. A few days after that silent meeting, there was something different in the way Jimin and Jungkook looked at each other. They didn't immediately return to the way they used to be, no laughingstock like the early days of their debut, no spontaneous backstage hugs, or secret whispers before a performance. But one thing comes back: presence. Attendance was modest. Like Jungkook standing still waiting for Jimin to finish training. Or Jimin who sat longer in the cafeteria, pretending to wait for his turn to drink, even though what he was waiting for was a footstep that he knew his tone well. Their relationship has not fully recovered, but they are beginning to learn to reorganize. Not as two group mates forced to get along for the sake of the camera, but as two human beings who keep each other's wounds and secretly try to heal. That night, Jungkook sat alone in his bed. The atmosphere of the barracks was quiet, only the quiet snoring of his comrades accompanied. In his hands was a small notebook, pages full of untidy scribbles, all about one thing: Jimin. He opened a page that he often reread. There it was written in a slightly messy handwriting, but the emotions were clear. Hyung, I want to apologize, not because I was wrong, but because I wasn't strong enough to hold on when you started walking away. I want to blame you, but I also know maybe I'm being too quiet. We were silent, and it hurt more than anything. I used to think that if we had no reason to laugh together, it might be time to separate. But now I realize maybe what we need isn't an excuse. It's the courage to admit that we need each other, even when the world says we can't. If you're reading this one day, know, I never really stopped looking for you. I just don't know how. Jungkook stared at the writing for a long time, then slowly closed the book. He never gave the letter to Jimin. But he knew now he no longer needed to convey everything through paper, because slowly, they've started talking to each other again, although with body language, with a consistent presence, with a small smile in the narrow hallway of the headquarters. On the other side of the headquarters, Jimin was writing as well. Not a letter, not song lyrics, but a daily journal suggested by his unit counselor. Sometimes it's not clear, sometimes it's just one sentence. That day, he wrote, "Today I sat next to him during the meal." Doesn't say much, but that's enough. In the past, I thought we should finish all the wounds before we start again. Hugh, but now I know. Sometimes we can start over while still healing those wounds together. And oh, we're done in a relationship has ever been as strong as they were. Jimin and Jungkook know that. Their relationship may never be the way it used to be, and it may never be. Importantly, they are now standing side by side again, slowly rearranging the feelings that once collapsed. And for the army, which so far has only been able to guess, wait, and pray from afar, there is no need for large proofs anymore. Because sometimes, one little sentence from Jimin is enough to change everything. Because that's where it all started again.